In this video, I'm going to share 11 secrets from a personal diary to help you start or grow a digital marketing agency or freelancing business. If you're new here, my name is Oves and I have my fair bit of experience when it comes to digital marketing agency businesses. I worked at Boopin in Dubai and we scaled the agency from 30 people in one location to more than 120 people in 5 different countries in just 3 years. I was the performance director at a global agency called Initiative where I handled the biggest client in UAE called Etisalat. And when it comes to smaller agencies, I have done more than half a dozen consulting projects to help these agencies start or grow their performance marketing teams. So my first tip for you is generalist agencies are fading and hyper specialization is winning in 2025. The first thing you can do to stand out of the crowded marketplace is to specialize. Pick a tiny niche, own it, and become the go-to expert for that niche. Being a specialized freelancer or agency helps you to charge more, be easy to refer, and quickly develop an unfair advantage. And your niche ideally has to be a specific skill within a specific industry. For example, CRO experts for real estate agents, lead generation experts for clinics, doctors, and hospitals, shopping ads experts for a D2C skincare brand, TikTok content creation experts for real estate companies. In today's market, you don't have to be everywhere, but you need to be excellent somewhere. This leads us to our next tip, which is don't chase calls, build relationships. Limit and select the discovery calls you attend. But whatever you attend, do your best. Be prepared. Provide them free audit report. Provide them free research. Provide them a demo strategy. And trust me, it goes a long way. Even if not then, the client will come back to you later if they are impressed. And in a lot of cases, what I have seen is that particular marketing manager, when they go to another company, they approach you. And this way, even if the call doesn't convert, during the process, you learn a lot about a new business. You learn a lot from the research. And in long term, it will pay you off. This leads us to our next point, which is build authority from day one. For example, I get a lot of inquiries for programmatic ads related projects because these people, they don't know me personally, they have never worked with me, but they consider me a go-to expert in programmatic advertising because my content ranks on top on Google and YouTube for programmatic advertising related keywords. People buy you before they buy your services. So what it means is consistently post on LinkedIn, podcasts, tutorials, case studies, and slowly build your authority in a particular space. You will see your trust and credibility will attract clients from places where other channels cannot even reach. One more example I would like to give you. I get a lot of inquiries for consulting for ABM strategies because I have some content about ABM, which doesn't even have much views though. This leads us to our next point, which is define bluff of your services. This kind of goes back to choosing your niche, but what I mean is bluff is bottom line up front. You should be able to position your business in such a way that you can explain your business or service in just one line. I get a lot of emails where I spend 20 seconds on the email and I still can't figure out what they do. Like, do they do automation? Do they provide email data? Do they do paid media campaigns? I don't understand at all. So the bluff of your business or service can be something like, we help clinics to get more appointments using paid ads. We help edtech companies or ranking your courses on LLM tools like ChatGPT and Perplexity, and use it consistently across your website, when you're sending an email to a prospect client, approaching someone on LinkedIn, and that way it becomes easier to position and create top of mind awareness for your business or brand. This leads us to our next point, which is be ready to work for free, but in a very smart way. If you're starting, you might not have any testimonials or case studies. So what you have to do is basically approach the clients, tell them, I'm willing to work for free for you, but in return, once we deliver results, you have to allow us to share the top line numbers from this project to create a case study, and you'll have to give us a testimonial. To be honest with you, if I start a very new business today, let's say an AI automation agency, this is the first thing I'll do. I'll just approach the clients and tell them, listen, this is what I want to do. While you're building your portfolio with your first few clients, I want to share an amazing resource that can help you to get your first few clients fast. The guide is called How to Get Your First 1,000 Customers. You can download it completely for free from the link in the description below. It contains 7 different case studies of businesses about how they got their first customers with real numbers and tactical takeaways. The guide also includes an action plan and a 3-phase roadmap with specific moves for each stage of your early growth. After reading this guide and action plan, I guarantee you will start thinking about non-conventional growth strategies which they don't teach in B schools. There are quick hit insights shared by these founders for each case study, which can be very powerful guiding principles for new business owners. My favorite part of the guide is how it is focused on getting your first 100 or 1000 customers, because most of the advice that focuses on scaling is irrelevant when you're starting from zero. Because getting your first 100 or 1000 customers is very different from getting your next 10,000 customers. And this guide is created by HubSpot Media, who's also sponsoring this video. This kind of leads us to our next point related to financials, which is cash is like oxygen for any business. Now, if you're starting and to be able to work on these free projects for case studies, you need to make sure that before you start, you have at least 3 to 6 months of expenses covered in a fund somewhere. And even if your business is stable, I have seen a lot of companies suffer because service-based industries are very volatile. And talking about finances, there's one thing very, very, very important I want to share with you. When you're starting as a freelancer or a new agency, never ever accept to work on a project where the client says you use your credit card and we will pay you after the month. Initially, only choose clients who want to use their credit card in their ad accounts. Now, at one level, it will become inevitable because if you're working with public listed companies or big companies, then you don't have an alternative because they have some payment terms that you spend this money on advertising, then they will pay based on the payment terms, 30 days, 60 days. But that's at a very bigger level. At that time, you would have a lot of cash flow. This leads us to our next point, which is selective client acquisition. What I mean by this is you need to sometimes say no to some clients. Now, it's very difficult and tricky in the beginning because any new business is desperate for clients. One bad client will drain your time and energy, which you can spend on 3 good ones. So in the beginning, develop a lead qualification process where you have a checklist that, okay, these are the 6 things in this client, only then we will onboard them. In certain cases, based on this checklist, you won't even go on a discovery call with them because they don't qualify. And over time, you will get an idea about the red flags. For example, in my case, my biggest red flag is if the client doesn't pay on time. I have seen instances when I work with a client and the first payment they delay, I right away go and send them an email. Listen, this happened for the first time. If this happens on the second month as well, I will have to terminate the contract. And then there are clients who want to go viral overnight. This clearly shows that they don't have understanding of marketing and they have unrealistic expectations. Working with such clients is very, very draining and hard. So avoid those clients as well. I personally hate one more category of clients who have lack of trust. And one more big red flag for me is when I work with a client and I tell them, you need to fix your tracking, you need to fix your creative, you need to fix your website, and you need to invest on it. And they're like, no, we'll do it later. First, let's start, see some results, and then do this. This leads us to our next point. Make it easier for clients to work with you. I have had many retainer clients in the past who admitted to me that they work with me or my team because it's so easy to work with us. And the biggest aspect of making it easy for them is the communication and workflows. I have seen in my experience working with certain clients, and they in turn used to work with an agency who used to present their reports in an Excel file, and I used to be like, very, very surprised. Even when I start working with a client, before going on a discovery call, I send them a project brief, which is like maybe 20 questions, and they have to answer that. So that before I go on the call, I understand their business, their requirement, and a lot of other things, so that the call is meaningful basically. And in turn, those clients, when they look at the brief, they understand that I approach everything in a very professional way. I have a template for everything. I have a template for client briefing, for a creative briefing, for strategy, for reports, for media planning. All these templates are on my website. I'm not saying you have to buy it there. If you want, you can generate it from tools like ChatGPT. It's super easy to create such things, and they make the communication seamless and professional. It kind of leads us to our next point, which is being an introvert marketer is not okay. If you don't let your clients know what you're working on, for them, you're not working. Because a lot of tasks as a digital marketing freelancer and agency you do are kind of under the hood. Unless you let the clients know, they won't know. And I see a lot of small agencies doing this mistake. What you have to do is always keep them involved. Let them know what you're doing, what kind of optimizations you're doing, what kind of tests you're doing, what kind of things are you planning in the next few weeks. This way, they don't feel isolated. They acknowledge that you're working on their project. And it's kind of client pampering, to be honest with you. And it fosters very strong relationships. To give you an idea, here's one example I want to show you. Now, I send this to every client every week or bi-weekly to tell them what we have been doing. I mentioned the smallest of the things, and I mentioned what we are planning to do in the next few weeks. And this is something a lot of my clients appreciate. This leads us to our next point, which is delegate before you detonate. This is basically how you initially scale your agency. Keep one thing in mind. Burnout is very, very expensive. It can bring everything to a halt suddenly. If you think that you already have enough work and you're willing to take new projects, much before you reach that burnout, hire people. Set up SOPs, workflows, learn to delegate the work. It's a very, very important skill. A lot of people suffer from this. They just want to be on top of everything. Your first $10,000 will come from your skill, but your first 100K will come because of your team, and your first million will come because of your brand. But then hiring is not easy as well, it's tricky. My suggestion to you is the first few people you hire, if you have plans to scale, have to be cherry picked. Even if it means they are twice as expensive than a normal candidate, go for them. Because digital marketing agencies, again, it's a service-based industry. For a smaller team, it's all about people. Even if it's a big company, it's all about the leadership team. So understand that hiring the first few people is a very, very important decision. You always have to look for people who are trainable, skillful enough to become the future leaders in your organization. And this leads us to our next point, which is retention is your real revenue. A lot of people might contradict, but I believe the scale and real revenue and profits come from retention. You have to find a way to hook the clients. We discussed about certain things, but what I would advise is always from a client profit from every client, take a small percentage and put it in research and development to make sure that you provide them things which make their life easy and comfortable. And switching from you to another agency is basically a sacrifice for them as well, because they have to leave their comfort zone. So in one of my experiences at an agency, this was one of our strategies. We used to invest money on basically making sure that we collect the event level data of the client and use it for analysis and provide them different kind of dashboards, and over time build on learnings and data and analysis. So it will be difficult for them to basically give away all these learnings and data and switch companies. You can also go and find a pain point in a client. So for an example, I used to work with an automotive brand who used to basically be distributors for many brands, and each of these brands had a dedicated marketing manager. In certain cases, the best-selling cars had their own dedicated marketing managers. And the problem these people used to face is every time they had to plan for the year ahead, media planning, or even for a campaign, they used to come to us and say, listen, our goal is to sell this number of cars. Our goal is to reach this number of people. Our goal is this kind of reach. And can you tell us the budgets? And with all the briefs and such requests coming, there used to be a lot of delays. So what I did is I created a calculator like this, where they basically they put which brand, which car, what kind of audience they want to target, how many cars they want to sell, and it will automatically adjust based on the previous data of the similar car, similar brand, or similar duration, or similar campaign. And it will tell them to sell this number of cars, you ideally need this number of leads. And as a result, you need this kind of budget. They used to go play around and see what kind of budget they agree with, and just click on one button and the request would go to the media planning team, and we had a setup which will automatically create a media plan quickly. And they used to love this. Even if they ever decided to go to another agency, this was a very hard part to give away. And that's all for this video. I hope you find it helpful. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one.